Hey guys, this is Marcus from Core. Got two things to talk about in this video that interrelate. First, I've seen a lot of people asking either on our posts or just in general about Lefthand Canyon in the Boulder Ranger District. What's the status there? What are we doing to try and get that reopened? How do things look? What's the update? In the second area is the West Alpine Tunnel Grade road in the Gunnison District that intersects and makes a large loop with Williams Pass, is over there just below the connector of Hancock and Tamichi Pass that's been closed since avalanche damage in 2016. So we do have an update on both of those, but first let's talk about OHV stickers. There seems to be a lot of misinformation and a misunderstanding of what OHV stickers are, where they're required, and why they're actually a good thing to purchase even if you have a full-size motorized vehicle. So there are two different classifications that we use in terms of full-size motorized vehicle trails. We call them trails, but there's two classifications in the Forest Service. One is a road, system road, and the other is a full-size motorized trail. Now, you might not know the difference on the ground, and the reality is we don't use them any different, but they are different classifications for land managers. A full-size motorized trail is for recreation-specific purposes, and it doesn't have the maintenance requirements that a road does as part of the road system. So the Forest Service transportation system, the road system, the minimum road system, it has a number of different terms that you'll hear it referred to by. It's just that it's a transportation network. And so certainly recreation is part of that and is allowed on that, but there are other uses for roads in national forests. And so there's different maintenance standards. Whereas a motorized trail could be an old road that is deemed no longer serviceable for the minimum road system and is not ideal for the transportation network for a number of different reasons, but it still has recreational value. So the designation could then be changed to a full-size motorized trail. Now, a lot of roads are getting set to have that designation changed when the Pike San Isabel travel management process that we've been involved in over the last 4 years is set to be officially recorded as a decision. And so a number of roads will change over to trails. And that's why this information is very important. In order for you to legally recreate on a full-size motorized trail, you need to have an OHV sticker on your vehicle. There's a list of all the motorized trails that you need an OHV sticker for in Colorado on Stay the Trail's website. It's very simple to find, staythetrail.org. So you can click on over there, check and see, which roads are actually classified as trails that you need an OHV sticker for. And again, that'll be updated because, the PSI final decision, the Pike San Isabel final decision on travel management is set to add a lot of different classifications from roads then to trails. So the list is certainly going to expand. I've seen a lot of negativity about this. I see people say, well, I've always been driving these roads and they're on public lands and I never see anybody getting ticketed for not having an OHV sticker, or I have a license and registration and plated vehicle. There's no reason I should have to pay for anything else in order to recreate in Colorado. And you know what? To a certain degree, I understand all of those arguments. I'm a third-generation Colorado native. I've been traveling in the backcountry my entire life with my family before there was even a hint of an idea of what an OHV sticker would be or designations for conversion to full-size motorized trails. So you know what? Just because you've been doing something forever doesn't mean things don't change. We have a vastly different recreation scene than we did in 20 years ago here in the state of Colorado. There are substantially more users. There are uses that weren't even thought of back then. The size and speed and capabilities of side-by-side and modern four-wheel drive vehicles, nobody knew what that would look like 20, 30 years ago. So to say that you've historically driven roads and now you don't need an OHV sticker, it's just not where we're at today. Motorized roads and trails are different classifications, different designations. They mean different things. And that's why it's important to understand the differences. And that's why it's important to buy an OHV sticker, because it actually supports OHV use, motorized use, and provides money to sustain motorized use and trail systems in Colorado. They're earmarked specifically for motorized trails and projects on those trails, okay? So then let's circle back to Lefthand Canyon and the West Alpine Tunnel grade, all right? So let's look at the state's website, because this information is not widely distributed and a lot of people don't know this. So here we go. Let's go to the CPW website. We're going to look at grant proposals, because they're available for the public and anybody involved in motorized recreation to look at the grants that are being proposed to, use OHV dollars for projects. So you can look at those. They're all registered there. And then you can even make a comment. Hey, I like this grant. This is an awesome project. I totally support this. Or, you know what? I'm not too sure about this project. I don't really, feel good about how this grant is written, and I've got some reservations about it. You can also register a comment there, so you can give them feedback. So here we go. Check it out. Follow along. We'll go through the state's website and look at several of these grants. Okay, so here we are on the CPW Colorado Parks and Wildlife website. That is cpw.state.co.us. Bring you to their homepage. If you go and click on the About Us up here in the top menu, scroll down. Bottom in the program section is Trails. It's a Trails program page. Scroll down a little bit. You'll go to the OHV programs. Then over here on the left menu, go down to OHV Grant Submissions. Now, when you click on that, it'll bring up the grant submission page. And just know that this is the Trails Grant selection process. And there is a grant committee that reviews all of these, scores them, and then that's how they are allocated for funding. Whether they will be funded or not depends on how much money is in the program, and then how the scores are, and as they go down and fund the grants. So here's the important part, that the applications are available for review, and they're all listed below. But here's what I was talking about before. The applications are posted for public review, and the comments can be emailed to dnr_trails@state.co.us. And if you click that, it will bring up the automatic emailer with their address in there. And then you can register a comment on any of these grant proposals. And they're accepting comments until January 29th. So you have plenty of time to do this. And if you scroll down, this is a very competitive grant process. As you can see, there's a lot of grants. There are 48 of them here that have been submitted for consideration for funding. And then there's good management crew submissions. So these are OHV good management crews from different districts around the state. There's a certain standard that they have to adhere to be considered good management crews, and then be allocated OHV funding for the next year. So let's look at a couple of these. Number 32 here is the Tamichi Gate Improvement Project. And if you click on that, it'll bring up the entire packet that was submitted for the grant. We know these guys, Tamichi Trail Riders. Jan, who's the president, is a good guy over there in Sargents at the Tamichi Trading Post. This one is a really cool grant. They're not asking for a lot of money, but it's a very good topic to discuss, because they're asking for this money to install 25 gates in the Eastern Gunnison Sargents area, specifically to help with ranchers and some private property in grazing, moving animals, stuff like that. Because what typically should be the case, that when you encounter a gate, a non-locked gate on public lands where there's a trail that goes through that fence line that is legal, you're to leave gates as you find them. So if you roll up on that and the gate is closed, you can open the gate, pass through, and then close the gate again behind you, because that's how you found it. That doesn't always happen, and it seems simple, but if there was a large group of like 10 vehicles and the first one opened the gate and everybody went through and the last vehicle didn't close the gate, then the next person that comes up sees an open gate and they just think that the gate was left open on purpose, and so they leave it open, when in reality it should have been closed because the first group that encountered that gate encountered a closed gate. So this grant asks for money to install new gates and signage so that everybody understands what's going on with the gate systems over there. So this is, working in collaboration with landowners and ranchers to try and make sure that we're all on the same page. Typically, you may notice that if a rancher wants the gate open, or a landowner, they will lock it open. So then you can't close that. If they're moving equipment or livestock, cattle, they will lock it open. So just pay attention to gates, but this is a good grant. You could scroll down and read through that if you'd like to support Jan and the Tamichi Trail Riders on that. Keep going down. Here we go. So 40. I mentioned Lefthand Canyon Motorized Roads and Trails Project. All right, and here is the grant submission. So if you scroll down, this is for the Boulder Ranger District and the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forest. You can continue on down and look through all of the specifics of this grant, okay? And, the motorized organization Novak is got some information and has helped put this stuff together for the grant here. So that, I'm not super familiar specifically with the Boulder Ranger District and what they have going on there, but it makes me feel better when I see motorized organizations looking at, partnering to reopen stuff. And so obviously that area was affected by flooding a number of years ago, and that's why the access road and the trail system has not been open. They've included some pictures with their grant, and then the map of the trail system. And so if you scroll down to the bottom of all of these, you can see letters of support. And so this one has the Board of County Commissioners from Boulder County. It also has Trail Ridge Runners 4-Wheel Drive Club there in Longmont. If you keep going down, it's got the Northern Colorado Trail Riders from Loveland support letter, Nissan Off-Road Association of Colorado there in Longmont. Rising Sun has also written a support letter for that. So it's important when you look at some of these that if they have, motorized support letters in them, that doesn't mean the grant is foolproof, but it definitely makes you feel good that there's a number of clubs, both moto and full-size clubs, that are in support of this. Now, this would be a planning grant and for NEPA. So what they're looking at doing is studying what would need to happen so that they could, open that back up. So if you want to go in there and look through that, maybe you know some people in some of those clubs, you could contact them, ask them their feelings on this and see what they say. But here's your opportunity. If you want Lefthand Canyon open, I've seen a lot of people talking about that, then here's a grant. Okay, you can register comments on that grant. You can follow along. And then when they go into the planning and potentially discussions and public meetings and stuff, you need to be involved. And all of that is laid out right here. So like I said, it's a competitive process. There's a lot of grants. And another important part about this is that technically anybody could apply for an OHV grant. You don't have to be a motorized club for one reason or another, but that just because they're on here doesn't mean that every grant is a fantastic grant. I'll point out number 43 here. I'm not going to go into depth and click on it, but look at the Timberline Maintenance and Patrol proposal here on number 43. Go down through there and see what you think. It's got some unfortunately anti-motorized undertones listed in that. The wording is quite interesting. And then notice at the bottom, there's not a single motorized club that wrote a grant support letter for that grant. They mentioned motorized clubs, but no motorized group specifically supported that grant. That should be a red flag. Keep going down. So here we go. Last one, 48, Alpine Tunnel and Palisades Repair. So this is submitted by the National Forest Foundation. And if you look down through here, they're submitting it, the application on behalf of the Gunnison National Forest. National Forest Foundation. There we are, Core. We're a co-applicant on this, and then the UPass Iron Goats for this project. So a number of years ago, we set out to try and Core with UPass and Chuck Severance over there at UPass, who's really been spearheading the process to get grant funding to repair the palisade on the west tunnel grade. We set out to try and reopen Tamichi, Williams, and the west side tunnel grade. And we've got 2 of those open. This would be funding for the 3rd, because obviously there's extensive damage on there. This grant request is around $90,000 is what they're asking for to be supplied by the OHV grant. It's pretty neat. If you this one, obviously I'm very familiar with all the inner workings of it, but if you scroll down through there, you can see the budget form. You can see some of the information as we get down here, where there's even drawings and specifics as to what they would do. And essentially this would be a 2-part process. So the first part would be rock scaling on the Alpine tunnel grade road, because there's some other places where rocks have fallen down. There's a lot of loose material up there, but you can see these photos here were from Chuck from UPass, and there's Palisade wall there. You can see here where it was damaged by the avalanche in 2016. The original damage wasn't this bad, but then we're 5 years now since then, and there's been a lot of erosion, and as snow melt and water runs down through here, it's really eaten the road away there. So actually fixing this would be part 2 of the project. This grant is asking for part 1, which is the rock scaling. The cliffs above this have a lot of loose rock, and then on up there's been some rock fall. Here's a rock fall above that. This is well above that palisade area. So as part of this grant, Core would actually clear this coming summer, so that when we reopen Williams Pass for the 30-day period, you could go over Williams and then drive all the way up to the west side area there with the museum and some of the buildings. This is currently blocking the road there. And then these rocks are below the palisade back down towards the Hancock intersection there. So those would be cleaned up, and a lot of the loose rocks taken care of. And so they're showing some of the volunteer efforts, the partnerships there. So here's some of our photos from Tamichi Pass in late 2019. Some of ours from Williams Pass this year, putting up kiosks, brushing the road, doing a lot of road maintenance there. And then if you come down, they have the layout of where that palisade is. Here's where Williams Pass comes in. They've got all of the specifics and dimensions on there. And then even farther up, this is tunnel road up there where the little museum and stuff is, that if they needed more material, it would be up there. What they would actually do to fix the palisade, the wall there. So it's pretty interesting looking down through there. And then, obviously you get the support letters from District Ranger Mr. Matt McCombs over there. Town of Pitkin, the mayor there is very supportive. Our grant letter, TPA wrote a very nice one for this. Mile High Jeep Club. And then, of course, the UPass Iron Goat. So this one is obviously very important to us because we're a co-applicant. We've worked really hard on that area, and we get a lot of messages about the Alpine tunnel grade. When's it going to be fixed? What can we do? What's the process? What's the update? Well, here it is. It's a pretty big project. It would be a 2-part project, and this is asking for funding for the first part. So if you find value in this area, then, drop an email there to the address and tell them. We don't have a form letter of what you need to do to say or to fill out. It can be very simple. Tell them who you are, how you recreate, when's the last time you went up there, why you want to go up there again, how you use the area. Maybe you've never been up there, but you've heard of it and you'd like to go. Just be real. Tell them how you recreate, tell them what you do, tell them why you love the area, and that you support their consideration of funding this grant. So there you have it. You can, always reference back to this page on the CPW website to see what's going on with OHV dollars, with grant proposals, and who's asking for money for what to fund things on our on our trails. So please be a part of that. Take a minute, look through things, and send an email. Thanks.